why do you want to work for the UN system? Is it to serve the public? Is it because you want to have a bigger impact in the world? Or is it because you love traveling? Or is it because you want to enjoy the benefits of the United Nations? So I think this is a question that I always ask my students and mid-career professionals who are interested in a career at the UN to go away from this course and answer yourself that question. I think that's quite important, and this is something for you to find out and to ask yourself. But where I can help you to understand a bit more is what can you expect, and what does that mean? So what you can expect is here a little bit of an overview: working with tight budgets, working with many cultures, with different agendas. So to give you a bit of an understanding, what I mean here is so my day in the life of the UN usually started with a quick look in the news to keep up to date on the latest UN system developments around the globe. In my role as a professional, I made sure to dress appropriate for unexpected meetings with member states or potential donors and senior managers. For most, I think the most enjoyable part of the job is working with diverse people from all over the globe. So a typical day would start with hearing all sorts of different languages being spoken in the elevator. The team one works with usually comes from different countries all over the world. And after grabbing a coffee, I would usually head to my first meeting and maybe get ready for a lot of those internal, external, with member states, permanent missions, with the press. So the list is long of UN meetings. The offices are in general spacious. I think it really depends, of course, which where if you're based in the headquarters, of course, or in which country you're based. But the offices are quite nice, and depending on your grade, you get your own office. The higher the grade, the bigger, and with more windows in some headquarters is quite a funny inside. Or you have a shared office with 2 or 3 colleagues. The UN system benefits. Working for the UN comes with great benefits, as some of you may know, such as reduced language courses, for example, which you can take during your lunchtime, but also gym memberships, yoga classes, so all sorts of things that you stay healthy and fit, but also to keep on educating yourself and maybe improve your language skills. The UN in Vienna, for example, they have a UN photo club, a sailing club, and of course a running club. My favorite activity, which I try to squeeze in during some lunch breaks. The lunch at the UN headquarters is, I think, one of the coolest experience, especially in New York, where you might share the lunch table with an ambassador, a security officer, and a press officer of the UN. So everyone really mixes and mingles, and there's really no hierarchy or any seating order, and you can have the most unexpected, inspiring, and interesting conversations over lunch or over a coffee. So that is something which I always really appreciated working there. So this brings me to my next slide. Are you the right fit for the UN? Is the UN the right match for you? So naturally, I assume that all of you who listen to this course today are interested in a career with an intergovernmental organization like the United Nations, or at least have an interest in the work of the UN. So why did I include this slide? Are you the right fit for the UN? I often get asked by students, but also mid-career professionals, what shall I study, or what would have been the ideal course of study to get a job with the UN? Well, I've studied economics and business law and ended up in probably the most technical UN agencies surrounded by nuclear scientists. So the point I want to make here, and my first advice on how to get a job with the UN, is that I believe what's important in life and for a career is to be passionate about what you do and to find something you enjoy. In short, find a subject you have a drive for. There is no golden rule that if you study a certain field, or if you have a certain degree, that you actually get a job at the UN. So my advice is to really find something you enjoy and you are naturally good at. This will automatically give you an advantage in the application and the interview process. So if the field of study is not key and to land the job with the UN, what is important? I would say the answer is really skills and competencies. So the UN differentiates between UN organizational core values, UN competencies, and managerial competencies. Why is it so important to know? Well, depending on which role you apply, you may want to highlight job relevant skills. Managerial competencies, for example, are skills that are essential for employees in more senior roles with supervisory responsibilities, such as, for example, P4 roles. So P stands for professional or higher roles. My advice is to reflect some of your soft transferable skills that relate to how you work, how you interact with colleagues, and how you solve problems. I personally always highlight and showcase my team working skills. The UN is a big family with lots of different cultures and personalities, and good communication and multicultural team working skills are vital, as well as my good time management skills and networking skills, which are all transferable skills. Other transferable skills that you could also mention are, for example, adaptability or negotiation or leadership skills. And the good news here is that you already have all those transferable skills, or you have in general transferable skills, regardless if you have worked for the UN in the past or not. You have developed such skills throughout your life, at university, at home, in your social life. So you have some transferable skills and soft skills, regardless of the job experience in the public sector. And also don't forget to reflect these skills in your application. That would be my second advice. What's also important is to be aware of the UN core values, such as integrity, and they are listed. They are listed here on the left side. Respect for gender and diversity. I would advise you make yourself familiar with those. And my final tip here would be to add other skills as well that you possess, such as, for example, IT skills and or additional language skills in your application document. So, for example, if you think the role could benefit from sharing that you speak another language besides the UN member state languages, definitely mention that. Highlight if you're multilingual. Also highlight proficiency in an IT platform, for example, Oracle, SAP, RP. So I think that is something which is important to keep in mind. If you're curious to learn more, feel free to reach out to the unitedcareercoalition.org or sign up for our YouTube channel, where we will share our UN experts' insights and lessons learned, and also some insights on how to actually highlight some of those skills in your application documents and how to link your experience and skills to UN vacancies. So, what skills can be transferred? I thought I include this slide. This gives you a bit of an overview of possible skills that you can mention. Transferable skills are, for example, problem-solving skills, analytical reasoning, critical thinking. I already mentioned leadership and team working. So these are all transferable skills that you might have gained and learned during university, and might be worth mentioning in the application documents. Here's an overview of common skills needed for a career with the United Nations. Now that we learned about the core values, skills, and competencies, you may wonder how you know which skills are relevant for which role and where you find them. Let's have a look at the UN vacancy, where I will show you now which parts are essential and how you can spot keywords and key competencies expected for the role, and many more insider tips that hopefully will save you a lot of time. This slide here, I think, have a look. It's basically organized by the UN skills that are needed for a lot of UN system roles, and provide a little bit more detail on the skills itself. So, for example, if you look at teamwork, it says willing to learn from others and generally values others' expertise. So these are just a couple of examples of the main or the common skills that are needed for a career with the